Hi, Carol. We are live on YouTube, so just so you're aware when you come on.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Jolise.
Hi.
How are you guys? You doing good?
Yeah.
Hey, Carol, you have your audio on, or are you just listening?
Now I do.
Hi there. How are
He
you?
muted me. I think he was afraid of what I might say.
Ooh, yeah, you have the inside scoop. Get you on. Motion sickness, don't watch me.
I'm tired. Anybody else tired?
Sunshine does that to you. You out in the sun a lot today?
I rode a mower to cemetery from 10 o'clock till almost 3. And,
Yeah.
you know, that guy I was working with, he's tough. He made me no breaks or anything.
Who, you?
No, Joe.
Joe. That's funny.
Oh, Broseph.
Hey, Karen.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening. Oops, there you go.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Jordan.
How we all doing?
Good.
He's hot.
I know. I've been outside.
Hot and tired.
Had a beautiful walk at Myra this morning.
Cool.
Walk way out
My,
there.
my breakfast book club. We read the Hidden Life of Trees and decided to take a hike at Myra.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, hi, Mark.
Hi.
Oh, who's saying hi? Is that Jordan's house?
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Aw.
That's good.
She's in the middle of dinner time.
Oh, perfect.
She's super excited to hear everyone chatting.
Cool.
She can photobomb if she wants. We're okay to see her.
Hi, Margot.
She might after she cleans up a little bit.
How old is she now, Jordan?
19 months. Yeah. So she's obviously saying hi a lot and getting into a big mess whenever she can. That's a
Perfect.
big part of our day is to clean her up. Right? Yeah.
I'm gonna swap these out. Oh, that's better.
Hey, Davey.
Hey, Danny, how are you?
I'm good. Good evening, everybody. I
Oh, hi
finally
there.
made it on.
That's okay.
Sorry about the timing Friday. That didn't work, but you didn't miss a whole lot either. I think we were 6 minutes.
Yeah. Good thing. Thank you.
No problem at all. Did everything go good during that?
No issues.
Good, good.
They can get the money and tighten up that log cabin. We'll
Pretty
see.
cool.
You know, it's a cool structure. It would make an awesome nature center.
Good.
Chris, when I was in the troop lodge, I had mice in the cabinets with the books and the bunch of bird seed in there. So I took all that bird seed out of there.
Oh, cool. Thank
Put
you.
it on top of the refrigerator and got all the books out of there and put them up in higher shelves.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know how they're getting in. Maybe the door seals. The door seals look a little shaky on the back doors, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, Chris, I took a couple pictures today and I just realized I forgot that one of the tree houses looked like somebody kicked in one of the doors.
Okay.
Mm.
I'll talk to Jeff about all that stuff.
Yeah, the padlock was still on the door and paint, panel was out, and so I thought, wow.
All they gotta do is shimmy through the window. It's not like it's hard to get in there.
Really, I didn't have to go through all that.
Yeah. Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
So we're ready to go? 7 o'clock. Anybody call in, say they're not coming, or?
No, and that's why maybe we wait a second. Unless you heard something from Pat.
No. You can yell out the backyard. I think he's out by the pool.
Oh, well, I would be too if I was him.
Yeah.
That's where I'd have my computer sitting if I had the opportunity.
Yeah. I'll call him real quick.
I got home and my kids had been at Ruth's next door and I'm kind of playing pool boy over there. So I went over and put the pool cleaner in and I was all gross from mowing. And I'm like, you know what? I jumped in for like 3 minutes and I was like, this is perfect.
That's awesome. Throw a rock easier than using a cell phone.
I was going to say. Oh, and where's Deer Wester?
Yeah, Mark's not here either.
I got him.
He's not plowing snow.
Now him, I could yell across the street to him.
There he is. You coming in, the meeting? All right. We're waiting for you. We won't start till you get there. That's no problem. We'll see you in a second. He's coming. Cool. He's logging in. You get an opportunity to play much tennis in the summer, Jordan? I muted.
I In the past few years, I got to play a lot earlier, but Joanna's still working, and so I'm with Margot a lot. I know the group of people that I play with are meeting on Mondays and Wednesdays, but I really can only make Mondays work. And that totally depends on if my mom is willing to watch Margot for part of that time. So, yeah, I'd like to get out
I
and
bet
play every
she
day if I
hates
could.
that. She probably really hates that.
Yeah, she feels super overburdened and upset about watching her grandchild.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did Mark?
No answer, so
All
whenever
right.
you're ready.
I'm
Okay.
here.
Do you want me to go see if his car's in the driveway?
Tammy looks like she's got a crown over her head. So
She does.
Oh,
Look
it
at
does,
that.
Tammy.
Oh, that's
You look like
awesome.
you have a crown. Oh, that's so funny. I love it.
I want to gather together tonight.
Perfect. I'll be up afterwards for a cocktail. All right. There is Nate Dunham joining us from the radio station.
Okay, good. Okay, let's get started. And meeting of Tuesday, July 2nd for the Joint Parks District. First issue is the approval of the minutes from last meeting. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a second?
second,
Second, all in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, next item is the approval of the May bills. Any questions on the bills? Not a whole lot going on, I can see.
Mm-mm. I'll move to approve the bills.
Have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
Who's second? Everybody's muted. Someone's got to unmute.
Hey,
I'll
Davey seconded, didn't you, Davey? All right, it's been motion and second, and all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Communication from any citizens, Chris?
I don't have anything other than I do have one additional item to add under new business. It was another park use request that we can do under new business. Other than that, I have not received any specified communication from citizens.
All right, very good. How often do you check that email? Occasionally, or?
All the time.
Yeah,
We
okay.
check it multiple times a day plus. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, Mr. Reeser, we'll turn it over to you. You're gonna have to unmute. We want to hear all about the city. Any news on the city? Anything that we should be aware of? Or
It doesn't. I mean, the city's pretty much not doing much. It's disappointing, but there's not a lot going on. So I don't know if there's any big issues going on. Obviously, Chris and I assume some people working for him took tables down and around downtown, which we are super appreciative of. That was huge, and I know a lot of businesses downtown appreciate having that extra seating. Other than that, the city is pretty much in shutdown mode. They're not doing a ton, so nothing big.
Mm-hmm. So last time I heard, the first quarter revenues were off, what, close to $1 million? Is it still hovering around there? Have you heard?
No, that was the projection we expect for the entire year to be off $1 million.
Okay.
That's not, and that's Fred's estimate. His estimate for first quarter, he had pegged down, I forget what they had mentioned today, but he pegged it within 0.5%. So we'll see where it goes from there. But that's we're still in a pretty good fiscal position as a municipality, but we're going to see it on much more on the back end than on the front end, I think, when it comes to impact to the municipal budget.
I guess one of the questions I have, and I really don't know if you're set up the same way as the schools are, but when you have capital money set aside, can they be pulled out to use for operation monies?
We do not have a true capital fund. Typically monies that are put into that capital fund to do the projects and show that they're funded out of capital, but the money is the revenue through whether it be water fund, sewer fund, or general fund. is where our capital funds come from. We don't have any dedicated capital dollars in the
I see.
municipality. So
Okay.
yeah, they did pull back some capital projects that were out there that were on the books for 2020, just to wait and see. Not that they're canceled for the year, but just didn't want to push forward. There's still several big projects that are going to be out to bid though that use a lot of grant money. So I expect to see some significant projects still happening here in town this year.
Okay, and as far as we were concerned, what was our #1 submission for capital? Was it the tennis court?
We had some equipment things and they were actually already purchased before COVID hit. And so we actually have our stuff in, so.
Yeah, but nothing on the tennis courts? As far
No, actually there was the only piece is the tennis courts at Blue Jacket did get some work, and actually it just finished up today or tomorrow morning. So they did some touch up on the cracks that had come through there between the schools and the city.
Okay, all right.
Will those be opened back up soon, Chris?
Soon, yeah, should be, I would say worst case early next week.
Very good. Anything else, Jordan? No?
Nope.
No.
Sorry.
You can use sign language. We're fine with that.
Okay. Margot's just very loud, so I'm trying not to be too distracting.
Oh,
She
that's
takes
great.
after her grandmother and mother.
Uh-oh.
Joanne is also in the room.
Joanne, you have permission to throw things at him.
Yeah, watch out.
Thank you very much, Jordan and Chris. Superintendent's report.
Okay, just we'll kind of go down what was on the agenda here. I did want to give you some updates. At our May meeting, we talked about the possibility of having baseball and softball in 2020. And we thought that there was some possibility. We were doing some work on that. When the guidelines came out from the state on what those baseball and softball guidelines, we had a meeting scheduled. So the guidelines came out on Thursday or Friday. We had a meeting scheduled on Sunday, where's my calendar? Sunday the 17th. I went into the meeting very much with the anticipation of this is going to be not easy, but we'll get moving with baseball and softball. It was a joint meeting between baseball and softball, and the overwhelming consensus from all of our volunteers was we don't want to try and participate under these rules and try and follow them and try and make, their biggest challenge was how do we make it an enjoyable experience for the kids, and they didn't feel confident in that. And so it was the volunteers kind of drove the bus that said we don't think it makes sense for us to try and do baseball and softball under this set of rules. So we kind of took their guidance, and a lot of that was people saying, hey, I can't coach and I just don't want to make it a bad experience. And they were more, that was their biggest fear, was having a bad experience for a kid that turns them off, as opposed to just not having a season. So as of right now, no season. There may be some work where we try and do some clinic stuff as some of the rules maybe change over time. But that's kind of where we're at right now. So baseball and softball boards both made that decision. The ACME program has started up as of this past Monday or Tuesday. And actually that would have been midweek last week. It got started, but they are not going to play any games until at least the week of June 22nd. The kind of feeling behind that, Mr. Comstock and I agreed that we thought they needed plenty of acclimation. Nobody had practiced in months. And we thought it was the safest thing for the student athletes for them to have an acclimation period very similar to what they would have had in the spring season. So ACME is back in practicing, and we're happy to see that moving forward. And then we do have 2 of the tournament teams that participate in High Point baseball. The 13 and 14-year-old teams are still playing in a couple of tournaments throughout the summer. They felt comfortable moving forward, and the board decision was that if any of the tournament teams did want to move forward, they could. And we were comfortable with what that is. So it's 2 teams of about 13 kids. Following the guidelines and everything. So I'm real happy with how that's moving forward as well. So from a baseball and softball perspective, that's what we have right now as far as our programs. a decision we're going to have to make very soon is there is a tournament scheduled for a rental tournament with the West Liberty Force for the last weekend in June. So that'd be the weekend of the 26th, 27th, and 28th of June. And so I look to you guys for any input you have on, do we try and facilitate that? I'm still waiting to see what their plan for operation is. And I'm sure I'll get that from them, but they are also hosting a tournament just in West Liberty this weekend. And I'm sure they're going to see how that goes before they come to me with what their plan would be to host using Southview for that weekend. Does anybody have any significant heartburn about us hosting something in that manner? We're going to put the responsibility on the organization renting the facility to make sure they're complying with the state and the health department.
I'm fine with that.
What are you gonna do for rest? Are we gonna have to have extra staff for restrooms and that kind of stuff cleaning, or?
Well, in the preliminary discussions I had with them, I said that we would have trash emptied twice a day, and that we would have restrooms done in the morning. And then they were going to put together a plan for how their volunteers would take care of restrooms throughout the day. We will provide them with all the cleaning materials. I'm fine to do that. But I said, because of our reduced staff, we cannot staff a tournament like we normally would have in the past. So they're going to put together a plan, and not until I'm comfortable with that plan are we going to actually move forward with it. I just want to make sure that nobody on the board had an issue, or the board didn't want to say, no, we don't think that makes sense right now. So, okay. So that's kind of a baseball softball update. I wish Mr. Deerwester was on. We are looking to possibly do some adult softball, but we're just waiting to see what teams may be interested in doing that on a reduced level. So hopefully I can give you a season recap maybe at our August meeting.
Are we going to be losing a lot of kids then to like a travel team? Are there travel teams?
There are a couple of travel teams playing, Jolise, but they were already set with their participants. I have heard of no one going anywhere else. I did hear a lot of understanding from people. Of course, there were some people disappointed, but the majority of the conversation was, hey, we also got a lot, as soon as those rules came out, our inbox on the Parks website or Parks email was, we had said we're going to participate, but we're not going to participate now with these rules. So we were seeing that from participants as well. But I didn't really see that.
What were some of the rules?
Well, initially when it came out, it was the kids had to wear a mask in the dugout. Coaches had to wear a mask the whole time. They did take that off as a requirement, and it went as a recommendation. But that probably wasn't the most difficult part. The most difficult part is doing the social distancing, spreading kids out along fences, trying to coach kids in space throughout the field with one or two coaches, which is what most of our teams end up having. And then the biggest piece is tracking who was on what field at what time. Had to be documented, and would have kind of fallen to our organizations and to our office probably to say what team was on this field, who was there, because that was a requirement of participation, so that if there is some sort of outbreak that you could track who interacted with who when. So that was probably the biggest piece, I think, to why people weren't comfortable with it, was just the tracking piece seemed to be really put an onus on the organizations, and they really just weren't comfortable with that.
Were these requirements that came down like through parks, or parks sponsored specifically?
No. This is from the governor's
Okay.
order.
So, but I've watched another group and I'm not seeing a lot of that.
Those are the rules that everybody's supposed to be following, and so
Okay.
that's my understanding. So I have been really, I have tracked some of the stuff going on, watching our Acme and our couple tournament teams. I've stopped by, checked out some of their practice time, and everybody seems to be doing a really good job complying to the very best of their ability. So we're real happy to see their effort in that.
There wasn't, a lot of things have been taken away this summer, so I'm just asking.
No,
just
Julie,
because
I
have
appreciate the
feeling.
question, and that's why I wanted to explain where it was coming from, but go ahead.
But was there any talk of even like some of those older kids? Like, I understand the social distancing was probably going to be difficult for the little guys. But like, what about like upper elementary aged on up?
We had a lot of discussion about, do we try and do farm league, do we try and do little league, and it was truly the volunteers, particularly the coaches at those age groups, that said, we're just not comfortable with this. I think a couple of them were even on the fence initially about doing it through the pandemic stuff out there, but the coaches, I think there was one coach that was for trying to move forward between farm and little league. So if that answers that question, Son.
Is this too early to think about how that may affect some of our fall participants?
Is it too early? No, but we don't have any guidance to what the rules of participation are going to be come fall. They have opened up training in those sports that we have for the fall. So for us, it would be our youth soccer program. It would be our the youth football program and cheerleading program. And so those are our two big fall activities. They have not put out rules for competition, just rules for training right now. And the rules for training are that they have to stay socially distant, as I'm sure you're aware with what the high school kids are working out right now. But there is no guidance on what participation for those contact sports, which soccer, football, both kind of fall into that same breath. Basketball there's no contact. They're only allowed to be doing training, no competitions in basketball right now. Lacrosse, football, soccer, the majority of them, the only thing that's allowed right now is training.
So the only program that we have that's right now that's being used in the parks from outside source would be with the program that Renee Price has. Is that the only one that's operating?
That's the one, and that's another piece of topic. You know, Renee and I met last week. We had a really nice conversation with her and Cindy Mabry, who's retired from the health department, and we talked through some of the possible logistics of allowing that program to take hold. And that was one of the next things I was going to talk about. What I had told them when we met last week was I was not comfortable moving forward until they had raised the gathering number over 10. That's just from my seat. That number, unfortunately, we were looking to see what was going to happen when the first set of stay safe orders that were set to expire on the 29th would happen, and they did not extend that. They put some caveats in, allowing wedding receptions up to 300 as long as you had social distancing and some different things, but they didn't change. Playgrounds are still closed. Gatherings are still 10 or less. That's what the rules are. Now, there's a lot of activities being allowed in different settings that allow bigger groups as long as the people close together are less than 10. We're just kind of in this vague area of are we rogue or are we following the state guidelines? That's where I'm struggling, trying to make sure that we're making the right decision. But my gut feeling is until the state says more than 10 are allowed to gather, I don't see how I'm comfortable turning loose the COG program as much as I really want to see this go. We talked about when it does go, whenever we get to that point, and if you guys have an opinion on when it should go, you let me know. We will have a waiver in place that each parent will have to sign before a child shows up before they are attending there. But that's going to be difficult logistically, but Renee is happy to take that on to make sure that they have a waiver from parents saying that they're not going to hold us or the volunteers from COG, any of them responsible if somebody was to get COVID, how you would track it to there for sure, I don't know, but I'm not a public health person.
Is she wanting to start now?
She would have liked to have started this past Monday. I told her when we met, so we met late last week, that I wouldn't tell her we were not going to go on June 8th, but that we weren't guaranteeing that they were going June 8th yet either. So I kind of leave that for a board discussion to see. My big concern is, as Jolie said, we've canceled so many things. I'm afraid if we put this out there, my biggest concern is that we're gonna have a lot of people show up, and if that's the case, with a staff of 3, maybe 4 there, how are they gonna manage trying to keep everybody in a state of separation? Does that
What
make sense?
what did the health department person say? I mean, are we can we get any guidance from Hodnot on this?
I'm sure we can. Everything Boyd has put out, Dr. Hodnot's put out, has been very pro, go ahead and do some stuff. This one, I have some concerns because there's a whole set of restrictions on day camps. Not that this is a registered day camp, but
The same as.
it could be similar depending on how kids show. But we're not, they don't have a responsibility for, weather and some of those things. It's on the parents to be a part of this process. But nonetheless, it's still outside program. And
So what are the restrictions? What could she not follow with the day camp if we were doing similar requirement?
Well, day camp has restrictions where it's a 9-to-1 staff to participant ratio. Those 9 kids are not to interact with any other 9 kids, and they have to have spaces designated for those groups. Particularly when you talk about inclement weather, if it's an outside program, when they go inside, how does that work? So there's a lot of challenges with the day camp side. Not that this is a day camp. It doesn't meet that criteria in any way, shape, or form, but it's as close as we have to anything that as far as recommendations. Like when Cindy was talking, we're about the program, I think she was similar to me, agreed that as long as it said 10, that we didn't have any real way to justify that. But we also haven't talked again this week. I did tell Renee that we would be talking about it. Actually, I'm assuming she's one of the 2 people watching us on YouTube right now. So that's cool that we have that ability. But I'm sure we'll be having some more discussion here over the next day or 2 about where we're going to go with this.
Is
What
there
if
a
she
way?
was? Oh,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Davey.
What if she was to follow the guidelines, like the softball guidelines, the baseball guidelines, those type of things, since they're going to be outside and those type of things, if she can follow like those type of guidelines, that way, like they said, get the kids out there as soon as possible and those type of things.
To
I would think
piggyback on that, could she do like an age bracket, and that may help with what Davey just said?
like set up some different times for each group.
Yeah, I forget what her timeline was, like 9 to 4 or something.
She was
Could she
talking
do like 9 to
11 to 4, I think is what it was.
Could she do, like this age bracket, like first? I don't know how young
I'm
she
sure
wants to
there's
go.
possibilities to anything. She hasn't put out any communication officially to any of the possible participants. That's something they'll do through their Facebook page. So, we can have that discussion and see what we can do to help get them moving.
Would she have 10? I mean, the 1 to 10 roughly ratio. So would she have, if she had like 4 volunteer, would she be able to handle 40?
It depends on how many kids showed up on a particular day, because there's no
I know,
registration.
she would have to limit them. I mean, they'd have to cut it off at whatever the staffing could handle.
Yeah.
Could she do like a sign up?
First come, first serve kind of thing or whatever. So,
yeah.
Like
unless like Jolie,
online.
where you set up the different age groups for,
Sure. I think maybe the best thing would be to say we'll do these age groups at these times, maybe just and then they could try and manage depending on how many kids showed up. We can have those discussions, though. I'll have a conversation with her tomorrow and see if we can put that kind of, if you guys are comfortable with that going ahead, we can try and see what we can put in place to let them go.
what age group does she handle at the intermediate
3rd
school?
through 5th.
And because she has like 100 kids at those events.
100 kids a day, so it's 100
Right.
104th, 105th.
And I would gather because of her backing, because of her following, that would be the biggest group that would be there.
I would think that those would be the biggest numbers. But there's so many kids that have been through the program that are, some of the middle school kids I'm sure would be looking to show up, and, kids just looking for something to do.
I was gonna say, I think, without going, rogue or anything like that, I think all of us are trying to push this forward because, like it's been mentioned, so much has been taken away. And is she are we really in, is her name with Parks and Rec, the COG, what's she doing? Is that tied to us?
It's allowing them to use our, granting them permission to meet in our facility.
I don't think she's going to blatantly break the rules, but I'm saying, would that come back on us?
The question is, are we allowing a gathering? And, if 30 kids show up, we probably don't have an issue because they can spread them out pretty easy with their volunteer or their workers, and it's no big deal. And I think that's kind of what we're going to have to decide. What Renee and I will have to decide is, when are we going to have to, what are our criteria for pulling the plug to say it's just too big, that we need to figure out how we're going to manage that. And I think she's comfortable with that. And, the other piece of the conversation we had was, she said, I want this to be something that we can do for a long time and many years to come. So if we need to wait a little bit because of the challenge, and because we don't want to be the poster child for breaking rules or doing something, that's not her intention at all. But she would love to get going as soon as possible as well. So, it's trying to work within what the recommendations are. And I really did like your idea, Davey, about trying to follow as many of the protocols put in place for baseball and softball, because that would allow for, and even trying to follow maybe some of the recommendations to show that are not just the required, but doing some of those baseball, softball things that help provide some guidance to social distancing. So I will keep working on that, and I guess what I was looking for from our board members are that nobody's saying absolutely this is a bad idea, we shouldn't be having this conversation. So
I support her doing anything she can.
Okay, we'll do our best to try and make sure that if you trust me to make that decision and move forward, we'll try and do it the best we can. And if something comes up and I feel like you need to be informed, I'll make sure that the board's informed of any issues we may have. So,
Chris, have you heard when the playgrounds can open back up?
They are on.
That's a good topic for. I mean, the tape's down. The people are using kaleidoscope or whatever it is now.
I have fought that many times, putting up tape and signs, and so playgrounds are closed according to the state of Ohio. I don't know that I am going to go out and police that. What's your opinion? I will take the board's guidance.
I don't think you should have to. I think it should be the police is going to have to be the one to do something, not you.
Well,
I mean, you put the signage up and stuff, but I don't know what else you can do. I guarantee you go over there right now, there's people.
I promise there are as well. And we did some stuff early on, but right now with everything that's out there, what I've told people over the last 2 days that have asked the question are, playgrounds are closed according to the state of Ohio. We are not policing that, and we expect the citizens to follow the order as they see fit.
I see the police driving by and not doing anything. And there's no signage. I don't believe there's any signage there anymore.
No, they disappear within hours of when I put them up.
Yeah. And so what I fear more is there any cleaning being done on them?
I would hate to even decide how we would do that.
I
I think if someone chooses to use the park and go there, then it's their responsibility when they leave to use hand sanitizer and wash their hands. I mean, I don't think that we can police that.
Well, I guess if they do open back up, would we be required to sanitize it like we do restrooms?
Depends on what the guidelines are when the state decides to say that playgrounds are no longer closed.
Are they giving you a timeline?
It's just on the continued closure list.
Put the signs back
The
up,
next
Chris.
order's in effect. The one that they just put in effect is in effect through July 1st, I believe.
Yeah, put the signs back up. You know, I don't want it has to be liable for not alerting the public.
Okay.
You have to, you know, figure out a way to get them on there so they can't just rip them down on something.
Well, Chris, maybe you put them on those boards that you've got, you know, the sign boards, and, you know, just tape them on there, and they're visible and they're there. Whether I don't think they'll rip them down from there. You know, they may go on past them, but I don't think they'll rip them down.
Yeah.
And the one board, I guess, not back up yet, though, is it on the?
No, after it's blown out twice, we're waiting to make a repair on it. So, okay, I'll get signs up and we'll do our best to continue to make sure that.
That's all we can do. We can't police the public, but we can at least make them aware.
Okay.
And make sure if you make sure that you note it in the notes too for the media would be helpful too. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, what else do you have going on in programs, Chris? Anything you had?
We do have one other cancellation. The Arts in the Parks program is going to be canceled due to the gathering number and proximity. The instructor just really was not comfortable with leading the program. And so because of that, Arts in the Parks is canceled. We're going to be doing those refunds here this week. So unfortunately, currently we only had 9 people signed up though too. So which it's typically at 40. So that shows you how many people didn't sign up for that at this point. And then the other one, Sue and I have not made a call on tennis camp at this point. But the numbers are not where those typically are either. So we could decide to go ahead and just cut it off and say we can handle the numbers we have right now and go from there. But that's where we're at right now. We have not finalized what we're going to do with that yet.
When's the camp dates for that?
I believe that is scheduled for July. It's either the week of the 6th or the week of the 13th, and I don't have it right in front of me. Week of the 6th, Carol just told me. Thank you, Carol. So that's programs, except for one other thing I'm going to cover under my era. Budget-wise, you guys kind of look through the bills. You see, you know, our activity is just basic operations right now. We have continued at the staffing levels that we discussed at our last board meeting. It is tight trying to accomplish. Some of our areas don't look as nice as they typically would if we were in a normal mowing situation. And probably the most challenging piece is the cemetery right now with the way it's growing. And you know, John's eaten most of his time on a mower and a weed whip at the cemetery because we didn't bring the other mower person in there. And actually John's off today and tomorrow, so I was on a mower today, and we'll be back on a weed eater and a mower tomorrow at the cemetery, just trying to keep up. But John needed a break as well. He's been going hard through this whole thing, and he's got some farm fields he wanted to work in, and I can't argue with him. He's done a great job, and I encouraged him to go. I said, you go, I know you want to do that. So I'm kind of covering that a little bit for the next couple of days. So
is our intern able to drive a mower?
He was on a push mower all day today. So yes, he's taking care of all of the push mowing stuff that we have to do around town, and then he's the only one running a weed whip on the west side. So he's kind of done all that. He's done a really nice job filling in and just whatever's asked of him, he's taken on. So that's the challenge, but it's kind of just a reality for right now, and we're okay with it. It's not perfect, but I'm proud of the way our staff has rallied. They're doing a really nice job, and we're just kind of taking it. We've got some projects we need to get on. when we talk about maintenance next, we want to get the play at the peak finalized, get the dirt work done, and get some grass seed down there. We haven't done that yet, but I did reach out, and we're going to get a donation of some pretty clean topsoil dirt that we're going to be able to do to get the final grade on around there. So that should be delivered to us this week by one of the contractors around town that was doing some work. I had some pretty good dirt, so he offered to just, when they're hauling some, to drop it off for us. So Rusty is going to be over to get that grade done for us as soon as we get the dirt delivered. So I'm excited to get that moving forward. And then Drew and I are hopefully going to get the pavers laid at the opening entrance there to the Play at the Peak playground that still haven't gone in. We want to get that done here over the next couple weeks is the plan.
Hey, Chris, I had somebody ask me about the handprints.
Yes, we have them. We have separated them. We were.
How would they go about getting them? Contact you?
Our intention was, John had just figured out how we were going to get them apart, and they got them apart about 2 days before pandemic hit. The intention was to have an event where we would invite people to come in and get their handprints, because all they are is a first name in a lot of cases and a handprint. I don't know whose is whose to go sort through all those handprints and say, here's yours and here's yours. We were just going to lay them out and invite people to come in, and then really the theory being, if they'd want to make a donation that to get it, they could have it. That we're not going to not give it to people, but that's what we were hoping, was to have a little event to kind of give those back to people.
Okay.
So that's still our intention.
Okay. I know Kathy Insminger is one that asked me about it, because her kids must have been involved with it back in the
I'm
day.
sure they were, yeah.
I'll get Matt and Cassie's.
I'm sure.
They were close to each other.
But they
Will be able to get those without an event, or you would like to pause until?
Well, we're gonna have to lay them out for people to come and pick theirs out and make that work. Without us scheduling individual appointments and eating up a whole bunch of shop space to lay all these out, I don't know how we do it without just waiting and scheduling a one-day kind of event. Does that make sense, or do you think?
Yeah, you're just going to broadcast what it's going to be on the.
Yeah, we'll make a big announcement and do something along those lines as soon as we feel like we can justify having a gathering of that kind of sort.
Okay, thanks.
Just a second, I'm reading my notes.
Meyer, are you going to have an update on Meyer?
Yep, that's coming in a second. So we did talk about Blue Jacket tennis courts, that they did get some crack repair done here. Schools drove that ship, and I was appreciative of that. And their participation helped get everybody's approval. So that was great. So that's kind of a maintenance update. So Myra, let's roll into a couple things at Myra. First and foremost, project update. We just received back the red line markup from the structural engineer that was looking over our design. And with that, we should have final design, I think, in place here over the next week or so. You think that's a good timeline, Pat? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So that's moving forward. So we're happy to see where that is. So we're going to be working on some bid documents and hopefully get that project out to bid. I don't want to be too optimistic, but I'd like to think within the next month or so we can be thinking about having a project out to bid. So that's really exciting. So project wise, that's kind of where we're at, the design, and then just getting it out to bid and see what the numbers come in from contractors to determine to what extent of this project we can complete. Hopefully things move well and people are looking for some work, and we'll see what happens. So then program update. So our Creatures of the Night program, which is the Meyer Education program, is going to continue to move forward. We were actually brainstorming. Actually, I was brainstorming with Tracy across the hall late last week. We were talking through where we're at with the program, and we both had the same idea of who we needed to ask. And before I could ask this person, he actually volunteered to take on leading the program. So thank you to President Vercel for his willingness to lead this program at least through this calendar year as we try and get through what we have scheduled. So Dennis, thank you. I really appreciate it. And that will be moving forward. We're excited. I'll be putting out an email to all of those participants. I believe our next gathering is scheduled for Saturday, the 13th. So that'll be the next meeting of the My Area Education Program. That's a real easy program to social distance though. So I'm excited to give them some space and say we're outside in nature and we can do some cool stuff. I think the next thing scheduled, Dennis, is playing in the stream looking for tadpoles. So
Okay, I'll talk to you after the meeting. We'll get.
sounds good. Sounds good.
Together to get a plan.
So that's kind of the updates on that. I have not had an opportunity to go through any of the pool projects and things that we talked about at our last meeting. Things have just been hectic trying to keep up with everything else we've got rolling and painting picnic tables and what else. So that's where we're at. But I will see what we can get moving on some of those projects that are out there. You know, we've got some work we could do on the slide. We got some work to do on the boiler. So hopefully we can move some of those things forward so that we're in a better position as we head into 2021.
Do you need to fill that so you don't have any groundwater issues?
No, we've been checking there are pressure release valves in the bottom of that, and they're functioning properly. So for the summer, we'd have to turn pumps and treat the water if we were going to have water in it for the summer without extreme amount of growth. The pressure relief valves seem to be working well. So am I going to tell you that I'm 100% right on this? No, but I feel pretty good about it. Does that answer your question?
Sort of. Maybe.
That's a fair
I
answer.
was worried about it. You know, when we get a big, for another 6-inch rain or whatever, that you may have some issues.
Did you get a chance to talk to the street department about hot tar on the Maritain courts?
We talked. It could be done. The problem is, I don't know how we can do it that's going to make for a quality play of tennis.
It'd be futile.
Because
you need a
well,
weed
what's
whacker more than anything else right now. I mean, some of those cracks are an inch and a half wide or whatever. So
yeah, but I just want to slow them down. I don't think we're going to get a level, but
No,
at least slow the crack
my
down a
concern
little.
is that
it'd be
once hot,
a
it gets
mess.
sticky.
Do you think, Jordan, it'd be a mess if you put tar in there?
Yeah, it's not going to play right. But adding that into it's just going to make it more of a mess. The cracks are bad enough. The tar is going to make it no better. So
that was just we talked about it, Dennis, and that's the concern is there's just no way to control that in a manner that you fill just the crack either. You know, it's going to have some on the top, and we find that it gets real sticky, you know, in the middle of August, and that just makes it worse, I think, than dealing with cracks. And you know, that's the other thing you talked about, some of the weed issues. We're trying to get out and get stuff sprayed, but we're behind trying to keep up with the mowing and trying to get stuff sprayed. We're just behind. So we're hoping to get that here soon, but unfortunately we haven't gotten to getting sprayed yet.
So you wouldn't have an issue if I took my Roundup down there and sprayed them?
No, you go
My
ahead.
answer to that is I can't permit that. But
So don't ask.
if you were to take some vinegar water
I'll go
down,
play on the playground while I'm doing it.
if you were going to take some vinegar water down and spray those, and that happened to kill them, that'd be just fine. If you use a brown vinegar water,
Use salt water on them.
yeah.
Bag of salt, things like that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think you're licensed, Pat, so probably not.
Outside of any other questions you may have, I do not have anything else to report at this time.
Did we get quotes at one point in time of what it would cost to repair? Because I think you had talked about repairing 2 of the courts and doing pickleball and the other 2.
The estimate I have to replace the tennis courts, whether it be pickleball or tennis, the tennis courts at Rutan, the estimate is somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000, depending on how much subsurface is going to have to be done.
And that's what you'd kind of written a grant for, I guess, right?
We had written a request into the state capital budget that was never approved because of COVID. And I promise you we aren't going to see those dollars. So we're back to square one.
Has there been any decision on movies through the summer?
We are working on a possible drive-in movie scenario. I'm not at liberty to discuss today, but there could very well be something in 2.5 weeks that would be using kind of a combined event with us and another city department doing an event together. So as of right now, I don't have anything to report, but keep your ears open because we may have an event possibly on the 19th of June. We're still waiting for some permissions though.
Okay, any other questions for Chris? All right, let's move along to old business. Any issues there? Nothing on the agenda.
Nothing on the agenda. I don't have anything that jumps out.
All right, what's the addition for the new business?
So under new business, might as well just do that one first. And I'm sorry, I did not get this email that had come into us out to you. I'm just going to read it to you though. This is from Charles Roberts. He's a member of Narcotics Anonymous. They've been using Oakland Square for their anniversary of the birth of their local fellowship for the last several years. They would like to do it again at Oakland Square on July 25th, 2020 from 1:30 to 6 p.m. They anticipate less than 50 people at the event and that they will be practicing social distancing during the whole event. And that they would offer the $30 donation to use the facility use Oakland Square for that event.
It doesn't seem like a very big space for that amount of people with very much seating or anything.
I think they bring their own chairs and spread out. And he was I'm comfortable because they've always done a great job of doing exactly what they've said they're going to do. So
He's got a great program. They use our church.
Yeah.
Several days a week. So he does a nice job.
Yep.
I support it. So if you need a motion, I'll.
Yeah, that'd be great, please.
I'll second it.
Then motion and seconded to allow the use of Oakland Square for the Narcotics Anonymous gathering. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you. Next item is the wedding reception at Brown Park. Different. What was the dates on that, Chris?
So the date on that is also July 25th. So did you all get that email? Did you get that link? So it's a couple that this young lady had grown up in that church, and they are having their wedding there. For their reception, they were hoping to do it in the church basement, but that has the church maybe wasn't comfortable with it, or it was just too difficult to comply with the guidelines. My only concern for the request is it says cake pops and beverages, canned or bottled. We typically do not allow alcohol in our parks, and to do that in Brown Park would take an act of council.
I didn't take it as alcohol.
Well,
I didn't either, because if they were planning on doing it in the church, I wouldn't think they would have been having alcohol.
I don't disagree, but it doesn't say it's not either. So that's what I would want to clarify with them.
Yeah, I asked for clarification.
Technically, do they even need permission? Couldn't they just go over to the park?
When we have people that want to use a facility and gather for an intended purpose, we typically ask for them to have scheduled with us, and we ask for the board to approve that. It just works better, so that if somebody was to reach out to us for a concert in the park that night, that we have it documented that we have something else going on there, kind of thing.
But there's no shelter.
There's no shelter, so it's just going to be out. Yeah. But it's the same as when they request to do a movie or a concert in the park. That we would have that on our calendar and have approved it through the board.
Any other discussions? Do we need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the wedding reception in the park, contingent that Chris clarifies the liquid refreshments.
And I'll have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
I oppose, same sign. Thank you. And the third item is request several churches for Vacation
was-
Bible School.
So,
Was that on the, was there many, how many churches were requesting?
well, there was a possibility when I created this agenda. I had another group of churches that reached out to me saying they might want to do this. So I put it on the agenda in case we had multiple requests. We only ended up with the one request though. And so this is the one from Calvary Baptist Church.
Is it
And
Ratliff Park, first choice?
yes, just
Friday,
parking.
July 24th.
Yep.
Okay.
I thought they had a solid plan.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't have any issue
Anything
with
wrong
it.
What about some of those questions he asked at the bottom there, like space used, area for him or for the church to use for this event? What are you thinking there, Chris?
On July 24th, I have no issue if they use Ratliff Park and spread out throughout the park. They can set up canopies and just as long as they're working hard for social distancing, I don't foresee any issue with them using our facility for that.
Other
Like a
discussion?
motion, Jolie.
What's that?
I said, sounds like a motion, Jolie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but we did a motion. Jolie?
I would like to make a motion for Calvary to be able to use Ratliff Park on July 24th, I believe was the date. Yes.
I'll second that.
The motion is seconded to allow Calvary to use the park of Ratliff. All in favor, aye.
I
I oppose, same sign. Thank you.
I wanted to share, Dennis, I wanted to share that I had 2 new little libraries put up in the park. So I want to kind of continue in memory of Matt, we up at the dog park, I have a little library put up there and it's adorable. I could show pictures, but I think you'd have to allow me to share my screen.
I can do
Because
that.
I had,
How do I do that?
yeah.
Just a second. How do
Because I had Robin Wonderly help paint that one and she just made it's just really cute.
Just a
Yeah.
second. I'm trying, Karen.
Okay, and then I had the Hobbit House little library in Blue Jacket is just frequently is so crowded. I'm always taking books out. And so I decided to have a smaller one built for just kids books so we could separate them out. So we put that up and I tell you, I was like validated because I was out there after Chris had dug the hole, these 2 little girls came up and they were getting in the library. And so I was telling them what we were doing. And the one girl said, oh, that's really good because it's hard to find books in this library for them because they're smaller. They get lost in the library. So I thought that was so cute.
Karen, I'm going to click the make you a host button.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. So
Maybe I
if
can
it
share.
drops our Zoom, should we adjourn before we do this just in case?
Sure. Okay, sure.
I think it's a good idea. Any other items of discussion? Now, remember, we're not meeting in July, so we've got to wait to come back yet. Well,
Well, the only other thing that, and I had mentioned this to Chris, but I wasn't actually going to say like use the park, but the Dash for Donation this year is gone virtual. And so people are to walk in their own communities. And so I had just checked with Chris what was going on in some of the parks so I could let people know if they wanted to walk and put their Team Brady shirts on when events won't be happening, so that we could possibly use Blue Jacket. And then if someone wanted to go to Southview, they could do that. But they're doing it, it's supposed to be July 11th, but they're kind of saying track it the whole week for any walking that you might do. So.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? So let's go for moving for adjournment and then come back to see Karen's photos. A motion?
I motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
I motion a second for adjournment. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. Thank you very much.